Quote, teaching is timeless, meeting some of the urgent needs of those seeking God in our age and answering many of the crucial problems of spiritual development and contemplative consciousness. For Leclerc in the 1970s, this had much to do with Julian's role as a feminine teacher at a time when many were actively seeking female spiritual models. But our world has changed in the last 4 decades, and while the need for female spiritual voices remains, new needs and new questions have also arisen, concerning our relationship to the environment, how we deal with other cultures and beliefs in an increasingly globalized world, even questions about gender beyond the traditional binary of male and female. Julian could not possibly have anticipated all the questions and concerns we bring to the table in our own time, and I won't claim that she has all the answers. But in the timeless fashion of the mystic, Julian's work does continue to meet some of the urgent needs in our age, whether that be through a message of consolation or a model of prayer, and we can consider some of the ways in which she does this during our time together. In the following sessions, we will address different dimensions of Julian's work. In sessions 2, 3, 4, and 5, we will consider the particular historical, spiritual, and linguistic contexts in which she wrote her showings, to get a sense of where her work fits in the larger canons of mystical writing, writings by medieval women, and English vernacular writing. With that context in mind, we'll then move on to consider the particulars of her text in sessions 6, 7, 8, and 9, to delve into its language and its images, to consider Julian's particular treatment of the major theological themes of Christ's passion, the Trinity, sin, and prayer. Hopefully, once we understand how she fits into her medieval context, we can think about how her unique vision speaks to us in 2016 and beyond. But before we do that, let's begin with what we know about the woman herself and the text that she wrote. Sadly, we don't know much beyond what she tells us in her work. The first lines of the short text, which are probably not written by Julian herself, read, "Here is a vision shown by the goodness of God to a devout woman, and her name is Julian, who is a recluse at Norwich and still alive, A.D. 1413, in which vision are many words of comfort, greatly moving for all those who desire to be Christ's lovers." This information is corroborated by 4 known bequests made to Julian in wills in the late 14th and early 15th centuries, the last of which was in 1416, identifying her as an anchoress, living in the cell adjoining the parish church of St. Julian in Conisford at Norwich, across from the Augustinian friary. It's actually possible that Julian is not even her given name, but derives from her association with this church. While the church remains, Julian's original anchorhold no longer exists, although it has been rebuilt more than once. Besides these wills, there is one other significant independent witness to Julian's life as an anchoress, which is the account of her contemporary, Marjorie Kemp, who, in the book of her own life, describes how she was commanded by our Lord to go to an anchoress, who was called Dame Julian, and that she was expert and could give good advice. Marjorie's first-hand witness to Julian's life as an anchoress is significant enough that we will devote an entire session just to considering their unique relationship. In the second chapter of the long text, Julian herself tells us, "This revelation was made to a simple, unlettered creature, living in this mortal flesh, the year of our Lord, 1373, on the 13th day of May." As we will discuss further in depth later on, Julian's revelation seems to come as the result of a serious illness, although we're not sure exactly what her malady may have been. She recounts, "When I was 30.5 years old, God sent me a bodily sickness in which I lay for 3 days and 3 nights, and on the 3rd night I received all the rites of Holy Church and did not expect to live until day." Based on this account, it is reasonable to assume she was born sometime in late 1342, roughly the same time as Geoffrey Chaucer, and lived as an anchoress well into her 70s, as the 1416 bequest suggests. Clearly, Julian does not die in her 30th year, and goes on to live